Let's see here. Looks like we are.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Yeah, it looks like we are live now, everybody. What's going on, guys and gals? Everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Xbox Roundtable Podcast. This is show number 290. I'm your host, Invader, and we've got lots of Xbox news to cover from the last 7 days? Heck, probably 2 weeks. Sorry about last week, guys. Had a little bit mic issues, so, my fault. But hey, I got a new mic, and I gotta say, I'm sounding pretty clear, and yeah, I'm ready to rock and roll. Now, earlier this week, Xbox announced a major, I guess I'll call it a reshuffling of its management positions. We'll talk about that and the various promotions and changes. As well, Xbox had a surprise third party preview event. We'll discuss it, see if there was, anything worth talking about from it, really. Plus, our impressions of Alan Wake 2, and maybe, just maybe, even some Halo talk, because I wouldn't mind talking some Halo if we got some time. But first off, though, let me get into the intros. And, if you couldn't tell already from our social media, we have two new official panel members joining TXR full time. You may recognize them, of course. They've been guesting on quite a few times, starting off with Grimes. Buddy, welcome to the TXR Podcast. How you been?
What's going on, my people? Thanks for having me. I really appreciate you guys welcoming me to TXR. I love talking to you guys about games and Xbox, and I really appreciate it. Uh, Everything else has been good with me. I've been playing a bunch of Forza. Still not my favorite Forza, but since the newest update, which I've been playing quite a lot of new new better improvements. So I've been playing that. I've also picked up Alan Wake 2. Can't wait. I haven't played it yet, but I'm looking forward to playing it. And I just started playing Dead Space remake. Always felt like
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have to play it because I love the original, and I don't think I needed to play the remake. But it's actually really fun. Although I'm not a big fan of the Adam Sandler looking Isaac, but he looks goofy. But um, that's what I've been doing. Thanks for including me into TXR. Love talking to you guys, and just been playing Forza. Been busy with work. I got hit up with a last minute project on Thursdays, which is due on Monday.
Ooh.
But you know, so that's I've just ha- I've only been able to play Force and a few other games like Dead Space. But can't wait to discuss Alan Wake 2 with you guys and everything else.
All right, Grimes. Well, it's exciting having you with us. I I think you'll be a great addition, and yeah, I just can't wait to hear your opinions on all the games and so much more. Let's see. Moving on down the list, our other new addition here, Dots RTS. Dots as well. Welcome to the show. It's great to have you a part officially of the team. What's new with you?
Yeah, hello. Sunday night. Always love my Sunday nights. No, just like with Grimes saying, I'm honored and thankful that you guys want to bring me on full time. Maybe I'll change my name to Dots TXR, who knows? Probably not, but it's an idea. Um, no, I've been good. While I'm currently on a vacation this week, before and after, obviously it's all about gaming. I've been doing, as Crusader will likely testify, we Halo is back. We are so back, and we have been
Back.
having so much fun playing Halo Infinite again because they finally made some much needed changes. And I was back then. I was a very big advocate of I don't want to say slander, but I was very negative towards Halo Infinite because at the time they deserved it, but they've gone a full 180 and it's enjoyable again. The XP progression and the cosmetics are not as atrocious, and everything, and it's looking bright, and we get the boys together and we have fun. Custom games are huge right now. It's probably the biggest part about Halo Infinite right now is how like the amount, abundance, creativity, and scale of the custom games and the Forge editor availability. So that's all
Right.
going to be huge things to talk about and discuss and enjoy. Outside of that, I've been dipping back into Age of Wonders 4. It's like a fantasy version of Sid Meier's Civ. I've been enjoying that. They have an update coming out in about 2 weeks or so. One of their big DLCs, so I've been looking forward to that. So I've been kind of hyping myself up for that. And then also November is the that fantasy Warhammer RTS game that's coming out too,
Oh
the
yeah.
Realms of Ruin. So that's a big like RTS point that I'm going to be looking forward to trying out when that drops. So, but that's at the moment my current interests in gaming things. Besides, my usual, hey, I gotta log on to Destiny at least once a week. Hey, I'm gonna dabble here and there with some other small things. But those are the main things: is some Halo and some strategy games.
All right. Well, again, welcome to the TXR crew and Tots TXR. I never thought about that before, but if you rearrange some things and take out the S, put in an X, yeah, that could work. Why not? Why not?
X is always for extreme, so it works out.
Maybe, maybe. Next up, talking about extremes, we have an extreme guy here, Crusader. How you been?
Pretty good. Since we last talked, played a bunch of Halo Infinite, as Dots alluded to. I platinumed Spider-Man 2. I platinumed the first Jack and Daxter game, and I don't really know what percent of the way I am through Alan Wake 2, but I am very deep into Alan Wake 2. I don't know if I'm quite halfway yet,
All right.
but I've been putting a lot of time into Alan Wake 2.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I look forward to hearing your thoughts on it coming up later on. Um, but yeah, can't wait. Been hearing a lot of interesting things about that game. And believe me, I love the original Alan Wake, so we will dive into that later. Who else do we got with us? Oh, of course, we got Centurion. How you been, Cent?
I'm doing pretty good. Just trying to keep up with everything. Lots of craziness going on around here, but when I do get a chance to game, I lately been just stuck with playing Lies of P. I have no idea why I keep going back to that chaos. It's my first ever like soul style game that I've put a lot of time into, just trying to get it to the end credits. I want to say I'm pretty darn close. It's been a battle to get that far. And then other than that, just finding some old Activision titles, like kind of laying around at some of the local game stores and kind of rescuing them from non-existence, I guess you'd say, and bringing them back here, checking out Deadpool and Transformers, War for Cybertron and Fall of Cybertron. So just doing stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got Fall of Cybertron. I still have that, but unfortunately, I don't know. I given away War for Cybertron, and I wish I'd still hung on to it. Unfortunately, so the resale market for those games is insane. So,
I'm lucky I found mine abandoned in a glass case in like a very like inconspicuous spot in like a used game and you like it's like a used entertainment store like for CDs, books, movies, all sorts of stuff, and they had them shoved in a corner, and of course the discs weren't exactly in the greatest of condition. I've seen worse, but happened to have the good fortune of knowing somebody who has a machine that's actually able to repair discs. So took them back in, got them rebuffed, and they worked just fine. And I was basically able to keep a set of games from disappearing.
All right. All right. Very good. Um, yeah, it's always good when you can find those out in the wild, for sure. And I do like looking through the secondhand stores. You know, you could usually find some gems in the most like surprising of places. So yeah, good one, Sent.
No, there's definitely a thrill to going to the secondhand stores. Like even like I hate to use the term pawn shops, but even pawn shops are a good spot because you'd be surprised that some of these guys will just buy a game when it wasn't even popular, and then all of a sudden the popularity for the game spikes and they're selling the game at like half of what you would pay for it online. So definitely there's a thrill to looking for them, and then there's obviously the joy in being like, oh my god, they have no idea what they have.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It
Well,
could be some grandma that sold the game too, so you know.
Well, I'm talking like let's just put it this way: the guy that I know that repairs discs, you wouldn't be able to hand this dude a disc and him not know what it's worth. But at certain secondhand shops, you'll have these guys that literally have no care for video games. They're just there because they want to work around like records and CDs and that stuff, kind of stuff, like music stores that take that stuff in and just resell it. And they'll like do absolutely no research into what it is. They'll just like kind of just scan it in and just throw it in a corner somewhere. And that's where like I mean one of the game like Fall for Cybertron, I was talking to a Crusader about it. We found it on Amazon for going for like $90, but at this store they only wanted $45 for it.
Damn.
yeah. Plus, nobody puts Transformers in the back corner, right? Right. Sorry,
Well,
I had to make that joke.
no, I know, right? Yeah, it was funny because they had it locked up in a glass cabinet and it was like in a corner and had a whole bunch of stuff just shoved in front of it. And I had to actually like peer through the crap and actually see them back there. And I was like, oh my God, they have both of them. Are you kidding me?
hmm Well, again, it's always, it feels like you're Indiana Jones and, you're going through some kind of a tomb and you find a treasure of some sort, right? So it's always nice when you can find something like that
Oh
out in the
yeah,
wild.
it's always the thrill of the hunt and then that joy you get when you're like, oh my God, I found them.
That's right. That's right. Let's see. Shockley won't be able to make it tonight. He's a little bit under the weather from the sounds of things, and I believe GeneralMLD is on his way, but well, we'll see about that. Before we begin, guys, just a reminder to share out this show and, of course, to give it a like, as it does help us out with the pesky algorithm. Not to be on that too much, but believe me, it does help. It does help out a lot. But yeah, guys, got a good looking group in the chat. Always great to see you guys. Yeah, so on to our first bit of news, guys. Let's not waste any time. And changes are happening over at Xbox. Microsoft is reorganizing its Xbox leadership and marketing, notably promoting Matt Booty to president of game content and studios, and of course, Sarah Bond to Xbox president, overlooking, well, basically everything hardware and software related to Xbox. So, some really interesting personnel shifts. There's a couple of more. Grimes, why don't you start us off here, my friend? What do you think of these recent changes? Because really, we weren't expecting anything, and then out of the blue, it's like, oh wow, they're doing these shifts.
Hail to President Sarah Bond. You know, she deserves our promotion. And I think Xbox and Microsoft definitely waited for the Activision deal to finalize and then to shift those positions. But
Mm-hmm.
she's been a massive game changer since she came to Xbox in 2017. She was instrumental in the success of Game Pass. She not only did she work with big bangers for Game Pass, but also try to bring us small indie games that we would have never heard of that were amazing games. And for, yeah, and not only did she work on bringing us games, but on the development of Game Pass. She was instrumental. And she had a critical role in the acquisition of ABK. Who can forget her vacation to England, right? Out of
Mm.
all the places, I'm gonna just take a vacation to London while it's freezing cold. But you know, so
Mm.
and she's not just a face and a suit. Before Xbox, she actually used to work for T-Mobile as a senior VP in business
Oh, okay.
during probably their most dominant years in the mobile space. So she knows what she's doing regarding business, finances, and hardware development. So I think she absolutely deserves her promotion. And what really matters to us is that she's a gamer. She understands where we're coming from. So I really respect her. And I can see Phil preparing her for his position once he leaves in 2 or 3 years. So I think that's her next move. With Matt Booty, I mean I like the guy, and
Mm-hmm.
but I know a lot of gamers have trust issues with him
Mm-hmm.
because of how many studios are under his supervision and after what happened with Redfall. So people are worried that Microsoft and he might meddle with Bethesda and ZeniMax business. But I don't think that will be the case. I just He's done pretty well the with studios like Double Fine and Ninja Theory, so I don't think there's anything to worry about. Uh, Besides, um, I think they're just trying to avoid another Redfall situation, and Bethesda will be fine. They'll just they're reporting under I forgot his name, but there's another Jamie Leather. I think Bethesda will be under
Mm-hmm.
him,
Yeah, that's right.
so fans have nothing to worry about. And
Mm-hmm.
with Chris Papasola,
Mm-hmm.
listen, the guy's been with the company for nearly 40 years. Just imagine being with the company for that long.
Wow.
32 years to be exact, but that, what's another 8 years will just fly by. So just imagine being with the same company for 40 years. So I wish him well. I mean, who knows if he was forced to retire in order to move people around, or he wanted to retire himself. But 40 years being with a company, I'm sure you would want something new or just to enjoy life at that point. And lastly, I'm gonna throw a wild theory here. I'm gonna put my tinfoil hat for a quick second regarding the ABK acquisition. But listen, Phil sent both Mike Ibarra and Rob Ferguson to infiltrate Activision so he can buy them a few years later and then make Mike Ibarra. I strongly believe that Mike Ibarra will be the next Activision CEO. And I forget what Rob's position is at Blizzard, but I wouldn't be surprised if he gets promoted as well. But yeah, M- Mikey Barr will be the next ABK CEO once Bobby leaves.
That implies that they keep the ABK like in a trio as opposed to having each of their heads be directly now reporting instead of having one central one.
Yeah,
Because they may literally just eliminate Bobby Kotick's position.
for sure. I'm just throwing some like
Yeah.
wild conspiracy that he infiltrated ABK with those two.
Hmm. Yeah, he's just having a little fun with that one. It is pretty wild though. Like, Because Bobby Kotick is scheduled to leave in
January 1st.
Yeah, so they
Yeah,
might.
His last day is technically December 31st.
So they have to have somebody just waiting in the wings. I mean, they probably had somebody since the deal closed.
Again, that implies that they're keeping the position.
Right.
Like they may be planning to just have Activision, Blizzard, and King be kind of separate entities.
For sure.
Which there's been some like stuff with like some Blizzard stuff that has alluded to that a little bit. Same with King stuff that Microsoft may be looking to manage them separate, like completely separately from each other.
Oh, of course, yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to have fun with that. Because who would have thought that two former Microsoft employees were gonna come back to Xbox in a different company.
Yeah. I mean, it's yeah, that's right. Because you were talking about Rod Ferguson and
Mike Ibarra.
The Ibarra, right. Well, I know Rod was always on good terms, and hey, for all you know, maybe it's possible. So, we'll see. I mean, I do agree with Crusader that we still have to see how they arrange Activision, Blizzard, and King, but yeah, I mean, they could have some more leeway. I mean, it's still a little early on. We'll see, but time will tell. I mean, we got basically 2 months until January 1st anyway, so we'll see.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, I saw GeneralMLD sneak in there. Glad to see you. Happy to see you, my friend. How you been?
Yeah, sneaky. Yeah, doing pretty good here. Yeah, pretty good week. Just finished Warhammer Darktide, playing Forza now. Yeah, sorry I'm late, but kids be kids.
Figured as much. Since I got you talking, what do you think about the whole management shuffle here at Xbox?
Yeah, I think it was pretty necessary. Xbox is pretty big now, and they have to accommodate for that. I think Matt Booty being promoted was the most standout promotion in my eyes, because to me it signals that another Redfall will never happen again, because Xbox always did have the hands-off kind of management approach, and with that comes pros and cons. The pros is that the devs can be very creative and make the games that they want to play. The cons is that if there are any internal troubles, Xbox upper management might not really know about that until the last minute, which was the case with Redfall. But I feel like that was an exception, because that was like the last game among Bethesda's live service push, like with Fallout 76, Wolfenstein Youngblood, and games like that. So I do feel like that was a lesson learned, but this way Matt Booty can have more oversight, you could take a better look at the roadmap and content flow of Bethesda. It signifies that they are closer together with Xbox, despite being a semi-independent publisher. It's all under the Xbox umbrella, so that is good news. Sarah Bond, I do think that was well deserved. She's very qualified. I do find she's very passionate about the games. She's been responsible for getting many games on Xbox, many published games for Xbox over the years. She pushes Game Pass pretty hard, so I feel like she has the right head on her shoulders. And ultimately, though, Phil Spencer is atop everybody, so it's not like, his ideas will still matter as well in the end. So that's good too. I feel like Activision Blizzard, they're gonna take some time and restructure themselves, and get to know themselves more now. It's kind of like Bethesda. It took some time to integrate, and this will be no different. In fact, I think it'll take even more time, because Activision Blizzard are so big. It makes me wonder, like, even Blizzard now, for the first time, they can make creative decisions that don't require Activision's approval. Now, them and Activision, they both report to Phil Spencer now. So Blizzard is now unleashed to kind of make the games that they want to play. So I'm very optimistic on where Blizzard is going to go from here on out. I'm not sure who would replace Bobby Kotick. I'm not too familiar with the higher up execs at Activision Blizzard, but I feel like they'll make a good choice. They'll do their vetting and stuff like that. But overall, I do think it's very positive. I think in the end, they're trying to find that balance between creative freedom and just learning to do just enough oversight to make sure that projects aren't being delayed internally, or there's a lot of problems that could lead to future PR mistakes. So I think they're on the right track, and this was a big but necessary shuffle.
All right, well said. Like, I'm with you. I mean, you know, I just love everything that Phil has done with like he really took Xbox by the horns, and he was brave when it came to a lot of things, like going to Microsoft and being like, yeah, this is what we got to do going forward, and we're going to need these studios and the content. And I'll be honest, I wouldn't want to see him leave anytime soon. So I hope it's not anytime soon. I trust him with the way that things went.
Yeah, I agree. I do feel like he has this grand vision that is only partially realized. Of course, he said ABK was always an accelerant to his grand end goal. But I don't think they're done acquiring. They're not done making their mobile PC push. I hope he'll stick around long enough that Xbox is really cemented in these aspects and really gets whatever end goal he has. I hope he does it before he makes his grand exit. So, but I think we're well on our way.
All right, Mr. Dots, I'm curious about your thoughts here. Obviously this was a pretty big shuffle for Xbox, seeing, a lot of different figures either get promoted or there was a retirement and so on. What are your collective thoughts on this?
Well, to be completely fair and not lie to anyone, I'm not the biggest in the know of like, execs and CEOs and whatnot of the branches, but I'm familiar with the names. I follow Xbox enough to at least know the names.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the concept is important of, we're getting this big shift and this big movement within a massive corporation like Microsoft and Xbox and all that, especially after this acquisition. I think the shift around is necessary because like, it's getting more bodies in and out or moving the bodies up through the system, and it's, allowing the company to not stay stagnant. And I think that that's a good factor for any company. I mean, without getting too crazy into it, I'm a big proponent of that, at least in like governments and whatnot, that we need to keep moving new bodies in and shifting the old bodies out, in a reasonable pace, not constantly, but enough that, hey, we can keep things fresh and things are changing. So that means sometimes the people need to change too. And sometimes that people changing is as simple as, hey, you're doing really good, you deserve a promotion to move up, or hey, you've been with us a long time, we still value you, but you maybe you have a good time to retire now. And I'm sure with whoever's retiring, that doesn't mean that they're gone forever. I'm sure they would be asked questions or massive resources of knowledge and advice in the future, just kind of on the down low. Because I mean, that's just how companies work. If you're that deep into it with them, they'll be like, hey, we're gonna ring up this guy and be like, hey, you've been on this, what's your thoughts on this, just just casually. Because I feel like people at Microsoft and Xbox, they have a passion for the industry, being when they're on the industry, working for it actively or not. And I think that you know it- it's a family for them, I would hope. And with that family and that passion, they just it's something they work together for, and work something that any movement is to the benefit of both the company and the family, because it's still a business. It's a multi-billion-dollar business, if not what, trillions. I don't remember what their numbers are at the current moment. But so every movement has a purpose, but at the moment it seems like those purposes are good. It's not like it doesn't come off as, hey, these people need to get removed or these people need to get replaced. It's more of a, hey, this is just the natural flow of the company at the moment. So I think in concept, everything that's going on right now is for the benefit of Xbox and Microsoft. And so I'm looking forward to seeing the results of these transitions. So that's for sure.
All right, fair points, fair points. Yeah, again, it's hard to know like every person. Some people are way more public than others, right? And of course, people like Matt Booty, Sarah Bond, and so on.
For me, unfortunately, if I know their name very well, it's either A, it's a Phil Spencer, or B, it's, usually a high-end corporate person that most people don't like. So the fact that I don't know most of these people by name usually means that there isn't like, so much dirt or fire thrown against them, which that's typically a good thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, you'd be right about that. You'd be right. Let's see. Centurion, I know you've been waiting patiently here. I think you've been covering the Xbox management shuffle. Because I mean, it is interesting seeing these promotions and even some retirements too from some key people. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, at least to be truthful, I haven't exactly covered it on my channel. That there, so yeah, there was a little bit of a trip to the hospital that was involved in the middle of this week, and about the same time they started doing the management reshuffle. So I haven't exactly had a comment.
Oh.
And that's where this will be like my first like public comment. So for me, this is something that I knew was going to happen. It was inevitable. Ever since they created a new job title for Phil Spencer, they knew the company was going to grow pretty big with Activision. Obviously, there was probably some hesitation to finalize the whole management shift until ABK was kind of like signed, sealed, and delivered because of all the drama and the crap that took place during the ABK deal. But that's where, like, for me, I've said that Sarah Bond is being groomed. Excuse the expression, but Sarah Bond is going to take the place of Phil Spencer. Obviously, as we could see, as Phil Spencer has now been officially promoted and solidified in his new position, she is going to kind of like take up the reins and take over where he left off. But she's also been a fundamental person behind the scenes for a lot of deals. We saw her actually create the partnership between Sega. We've seen her even actively involved in the ABK deal, as Grimes pointed out. Sarah Bond, in my opinion, is a great candidate and an awesome individual that is just like Phil Spencer. She has passion for the gaming industry, but she is also not a corporate suit. You could kind of forgive me, this is just me and my personality. You can pick up on people very quickly, at least I can. When you see them always on stage, prim, proper, I mean, like, I hate to say it, but like, look at Jim Ryan. Have we ever seen that man wear a fun piece of clothing? But we've seen Phil Spencer come out on stage wearing T-shirts from game companies. Like when they bought Double Fine, he was wearing a Double Fine shirt. He's wore other shirts. He has no problem coming out on stage looking a little casual compared to like your Jim Ryans and even Bobby Kotick's. These guys dress like to the nines most of the time. You can just tell. The reason why I bring this up is we look at Sarah Bond. We have seen Sarah Bond come out on stage dressed very casually, wearing a pair of Converses that I believe were pink glitter. You could just see her personality shine through how she is on stage. And we've even seen Sarah Bond bring her dad to an event and even point him out in the crowd. I remember that whole stage thing where she actually thanked her dad for being there. So she is a family-oriented person. She has the personality to make gamers feel comfortable being in control of the Xbox brand. She is a really great candidate for the position that she's in and also the future the future ideal, like we pointed out, that Phil Spencer obviously is not going to be with the company forever, and she would be yet another great candidate to officially take his actual position that he's in now. When it comes to Bobby Kotick, that's where I'm kind of with Crusader on the fact that they probably might not even fill his position. They just might let it die out. One big thing that a lot of people haven't really not too many people are talking about it, but you can clearly see with this management reshuffle over at Microsoft, there is definitely more women in power than there is men. We are now seeing one of the bigger game companies in gaming today actually more of a female dominated environment, and they're now breaking down those barriers that video games for a long time have been associated with being a male dominated environment, both by the consumer base and those involved in the development. And now we're starting to see a big shift that now there is just as much of a female presence in gaming is there just as much as there is a male presence. So this is breaking down a lot of barriers and also getting rid of that stigma that literally video games are a little boy's world. But now for me, when it comes to like the big writing on the wall for me is we see finally Microsoft, who has basically played this slow game of chess. Everybody has always been like, break out the big guns. They got to do this to compete with PlayStation. They have to do that to compete with PlayStation. It's always the same rigmarole. Xbox has to do this. Xbox has to do that. Xbox has been doing just fine. As we can see, here we are going into 2024. Xbox has grown exponentially. They are restructuring their management because they have gotten so big. And we are seeing Xbox make big moves by the slow game that they have been playing for years. And that's where, let's look at the other brand. They're downsizing. They're firing people. People are retiring. We could honestly say the Big Blue brand over on the other side is on the precipice of some very different times. And that's why I have to laugh at this whole situation. I'm not singling out anybody here or anybody in general, but everybody's so quick to bring up Redfall. I've actually had a great time playing the game. I've known people that also have a great time playing the game. Okay, cool. Launched at 30 frames a second. There were some flickering issues, shader issues, but for the most part, the game was not unplayable. But now we're always trying to use Redfall as some source of ammunition when over on the PlayStation brand, we just had the launch of Spider-Man 2, and we've seen videos like what Crusader put up of Spider-Man being invisible or we've also seen one guy where Spider-Man turned into a cube. Spider-Man 2 was in a much more unplayable state than Redfall. Redfall was a total new game and a new development direction for the studio that created it. Yes, the studio had some turbulent times. Yes, they were coming off of Fallout 76, and it came from that same guise of games that were being created. In my opinion, Fallout 76 had a worse launch because the game was completely devoid of anything. I was a huge Fallout fan. I even bought the Power Armor edition. But that's where I just think it's funny that here we are always wanting to knock a game that was a new idea and a new development strategy for a studio, but for some reason Spider-Man 2, which is basically developed by one of the most pedigreed studios that Sony has under its umbrella, and it came out in the condition like that. That's where I just kind of have to laugh on how everybody is so quick to think that Xbox has had these huge pitfalls when, yeah, don't get me wrong, Redfall was definitely a little bit of a stumble for Xbox, but it wasn't this huge train wreck that at least a lot of the PlayStation community and some people try to make it out to be.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where, at least that's why I say, if we look at what Xbox is doing, no, they are not perfect. No, they haven't had everything hit on all cylinders, But as we could see, Xbox's strategy since Phil Spencer took over and started buying studios in 2017 has been this strategy of just, it's like the tortoise and the hare. Xbox decided to play the tortoise, and now here they are crossing the finish line of 2023 into 2024, doing much bigger and grander things for the Xbox ecosystem than their competitors. And the offerings that they're giving the consumers of their ecosystem are bar none on comparison with any other ecosystem on the market today, with the value that is being delivered to Xbox players.
I mean, speaking of bad games, you see that King Kong game, Rise of Kong?
Oh, dude.
Oh my
Dude,
God.
that whole game. Okay, this is what cracks me up. King Kong, the video game, is actually worse than Gollum. I bought Gollum. Everybody knows here. I bought Gollum. I played it. That game glitched in the final chapter and ruined all my save data. And yeah, I said, F that. I am not going back to play that game from start to finish again.
Did you buy
And
this
I'm
one
not
too?
going to finish it. But dudes, people are so desperate to make sure that Gollum goes down as the worst game of 2023. They have now started going on to Metacritic and giving Kong 9s and 10s just to make sure it happens. Dude,
why?
I watched I watched somebody on Twitter, X, whatever the hell you want to call it, put a capture of a cutscene from Kong. And as the creature started attacking him, it like went to a still image of like the creature coming at the screen. It wasn't even a CG'd animation. It was literally a 2-dimensional photo of a creature with its mouth open, like coming towards the screen. And then it came back to the cutscene animation, and I'm like, what the hell?
Does anyone know the studio behind it?
Oh my god, the studio. Oh my god.
I'm
Mel.
not
I
even-
know, like I know they're known for like doing like horrible ripoffs.
I'm pretty sure it's GamerML or GameMill. Yeah, it was GameMill.
Yeah.
Game Mail. why does that
They're
sound
they're
familiar?
usually someone that's licensed out to do like licensed stuff.
Yeah,
like-
but apparently they were only given like a year or something
Yeah.
to make this game. Like, what the heck is?
Or sorry, GameMill is the publisher. Iguana Bee is the developer.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's right.
Still, Iguana Bee has only worked on like garbage, like licensed stuff. It looks like.
Yeah, like at least from what I've heard, that game, the King Kong game, whatever the hell it's called, because we don't even really know what it's called at this point other than the King Kong game. Yeah, I guess they're really known for doing licensed games, but just horrible versions of them.
Yeah, it looks pretty rough.
I just want to point out, you mentioned before all the discourse about Redfall, like, the PlayStation fans, they did a good job of sweeping this game under the rug, but Sony Interactive Entertainment published a game called Firewall Ultra. It released August 24. It has a Metacritic of 61. It is a very uninspired VR game, apparently.
Dude.
And so Sony isn't immune to stinkers either, but
No one cares about VR. That's the problem.
Exactly.
No one gives a
Hey,
shit.
how about that? That's
no
a
one
big.
cares.
Hey, what's a
Wait.
bigger shit show than Redfall? Sony VR.
But is
I
that
don't know that
what-
I'd go that far, but
they gotta
No,
pick a lane.
No, no,
I-
when they
I-
actually
yeah,
when they
far.
finally cancel out Sony VR,
Yeah.
because like who here is ready to put money down that VR will not be canceled? Who wants to take up on that bet?
oh yeah,
Anybody
no,
feel safe on that?
I won't.
Exactly.
It's the new generation of the Kinect slash whatchamacallit.
See, they gotta pick a
Exactly.
lane.
So
Like
so even if you went out and bought Redfall at $70, you will not be out the amount of money you will be if you bought into Sony VR 2.
See, on one hand, I see guys brag about, oh, you gotta play Gran Turismo 7 on VR, all that. They shout it from the rooftops. But for games like this, oh, VR doesn't count.
Oh,
Doesn't
dude.
count.
I like how they
come
bring
on.
up Gran Turismo in VR. No. That ain't the experience. For me, the experience is what my buddy here in Phoenix, he lives in another town called Queen Creek. He's built a whole 3-screen rig where he actually climbs into a cockpit and he acts as steering wheel, pedals, and a stick shift.
Nice.
So that's why I'm saying, like, he ain't strapping no motorcycle electric octopus on his freaking head. That dude is literally climbing into pretty much a car that he has built in his bedroom.
Well, that's dedication.
Can I just say one positive thing about PlayStation
Sure.
is that they're starting to put more games into GOG. I don't know if any of you guys have seen it, but Days Gone just recently released on GOG, which I think it's a good move, and I hope more of their games come to that platform.
All right. Yeah, that's a good.
GOG. What is that?
Yeah, it's the gaming platform owned by CD Projekt
CD,
Yeah,
Red.
good old
It's-
games or
Oh, good old
whatever.
games. Yeah.
You can only list games on it that don't have DRM.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's the whole shtick.
I bought Horizon Zero Dawn from there a while back, and I love it.
So I'm just that for me, at least the argument I was trying to point out is we can clearly see the direction for both companies right now, and we feel like, and this isn't just trying to be like, thumping the console war drum from a consumer's perspective that has no horse in the race, because at the end of the day, I've got bigger things going on in my life than making sure Xbox or PlayStation is like a focus of my thoughts. But for me, it's easy to say that we can clearly see that Xbox at its current state today is in a much more positive position and positive direction going forward than the PlayStation brand. And that's not trying to diss PlayStation, but we've seen other PlayStation content creators finally come out and say that maybe PlayStation spent too much money on third-party deals. They spent too much money trying to keep stuff off of other platforms. They essentially wasted too much money on making sure I had a coonskin hat in Red Dead Redemption 2 on PlayStation, than making sure that they use some of that money to basically to thwart what Xbox is doing behind the scenes. But as we can see, Xbox has been playing this game of literally just, you know what, we're not going to try to go in and just like cut everybody down as quickly as we can. We're just going to bide our time and wait for our opportunities. And when Activision stepped in it and got themselves in some serious trouble with the US government and how they treated people behind the scenes, Xbox knew at that very moment that they had a chance to literally land a serious blow to PlayStation and submit themselves as a powerhouse in the gaming industry, and they full on took advantage of that situation.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Now, Crusader, I know you've been patiently waiting to dive into this one.
Not really.
Well, I don't know. Please, like, just kind of round us off here, though, with your thoughts on it. Good, bad, kind of whatever.
I think it was destined to happen from the second that Phil Spencer was announced as gaming CEO in 2022 of Microsoft Gaming. Like, I'm a little... I'm not a big fan that ZeniMax is not directly represented on the in the hierarchy, that they're under Matt Booty. I think it would have been better if they had been had direct representation similar to Bobby Kotick currently. But maybe Activision won't be after Bobby Kotick's out either. I also don't know that that's necessarily a good thing, especially if they're going to be limited integration companies, because it's not very limited integration. Sarah Bond is an excellent pick for being the head of Xbox. I actually didn't totally see that one coming. I thought she was going to be put in charge of Activision when this was all said and done. I know I did say earlier, I fully expect that the studio. I don't know necessarily about King, but I believe Activision and Blizzard will be kind of made distinct entities under the new regime come January.
Right.
But yeah, no, it's the reorganization's interesting. It was also interesting that we had it looks like Connie, what's her last name? The head of international production at Sony Interactive Entertainment. Looks like she was fired this week.
Right, that's correct, yeah.
So that's also interesting that we're seeing massive shakeups at both companies because we also have um, Jim Ryan leaving. So it's going to be very, very interesting as like basically new leadership is kind of leading. Yeah, Connie Booth. Thank you, Thimber.
Well, even at Xbox, I mean, Bethesda last week, Pete Hines as well, right?
Pete Hines is leaving, yeah. That was also like... I think he's a little unhappy. Tim, I hope people remember Tim. Hasn't been off the show that long, but Tim was also suspecting that Pete Hines may have been a little unhappy. He expressed that he was kind of unhappy in emails that we saw during the FTC trial as to like why is all of ZeniMax stuff going exclusive when you're buying another company and keeping some of their stuff multi-platform. So I wouldn't be shocked if he was a little dissatisfied with how he was going, so he's leaving. But executives are executives. I hope that I'm still unhinged in trying to get stuff made backwards compatible, as anyone who follows me on Twitter
Ungovernable?
Ungovernable! Absolutely ungovernable. So I've already begun my campaign of you guys are now in charge of Xbox. Yeah, I'm bothering you now too.
Like a penguin out in Antarctica with a picket sign.
Yeah. Yeah. Wait, are you saying Pete Hines had a minor role in the company? He was the head of their publishing. Thimber.
Yeah, he was a
he
big
was
deal.
like a big deal at Bethesda.
Pete
Hines was like the second most important person at the company.
Yeah, Pete Hines was always like helping do the developer direct for ZeniMax when they did their expansions for Elder Scrolls Online.
Yeah.
It was always Pete Hines and then the director for the game of Elder Scrolls right next to him.
He was the head of their publishing.
Well, then now it's just Xbox publishing.
No, it's still ZeniMax.
Okay.
Bethesda is its own publishing arm still.
Right.
I don't think they've announced who's replacing him. But again, the Bethesda's supposed to be a limited integration company. So like they're supposed to all of their stuff is supposed to remain separate.
Crusader. Here, can I ask you a question? Because I haven't been able to ask anybody this question because like last week we weren't even really able to do the show. Is anybody with me that I really don't think it's a good idea to put Todd Howard in Pete Hines' position, and it has nothing to do with Todd Howard
their jobs aren't compatible.
Well, I don't think Todd Howard, because if you really think about it, Todd Howard is a very dedicated developer that really puts his heart and soul into video games. And if all of a sudden he's put into like a massive like leadership position like Pete Hines, like I don't think he would be able to focus on the quality of the game and just the strategy. I just don't. I feel like for him it would be like he's not interested in that because it would take away from his focus of what he truly loves to do.
Yeah, no. So the only reason that Todd Howard would often kind of market by himself for Bethesda games and that people kind of recognize him outside of other people, because like the two people that are recognizable at ZeniMax are Todd Howard and the now retiring Pete Hines, because they were the ones who were always on stage all the time. Todd Howard was on stage all the time because he had a personality, and he has that similar personality to Sam Lake or Kojima. There's a few creatives in the industry that are, they're recognizable by name as to who they are. Miyazaki's another. Tim Schafer, yeah. There aren't really the head of Arcane Leon, whose name I cannot think of right now. He's another one that probably will be. But the reason why people think he can do the job is because he was doing the job essentially for Bethesda Game Studios. But he's not. The jobs themselves aren't totally interchangeable. Todd Howard will not become the head of publishing. He is a game director. If anything, one day he might. If he ever decides he wants to stop making games, he could end up being the CEO of the company overall, but not the head of publishing. Yeah, so it's also Pete Hines is not being replaced by Matt Booty. The CEO of ZeniMax, whose name I can't remember because you don't ever see him because he's
I
literally
mentioned it
just a corporate
earlier.
head.
Yeah, I forget the
He's
Centurion.
reporting.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
Jamie
reporting directly
Levin.
to Matt Booty now.
Yeah, led.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, Brian Fargo's another one who can exist by himself, though he like there's not a ton of developer like it's not a transferable thing. So like no, Todd Howard will not be taking Pete Hines' position. Now I could see him assisting with training someone up to speed, and like this is how like Bethesda markets its games if they don't take someone internally, because Bethesda does market its games in a specific way. Machine Games is always known for whenever they have anything that has Wolfenstein related to it is fucking kill all the Nazis with with that language, right? They dropping F-bombs about killing Nazis on stage at E3. They did it multiple years in a row. For the Wolfenstein games.
They also did it. They also did it during the reveal for Fallout 76 with Todd Howard coming out on stage screaming, "Are you ready for some fucking games?" I was like, "Oh my god!"
Like Bethesda markets in a certain way, so I could see Todd Howard being instrumental in kind of if they pulled someone external to be the new head of publishing if they brought someone external, like get them up to speed, if that makes sense. Like this is how Bethesda does things. Not that I think they would really need to get someone up to speed, but like, yeah. I'm very indifferent about this. About the. I think it's a good thing. I don't think that like anything was a bad thing. I think that it's a really good thing that the way that they handle marketing is shifting. That's actually probably the biggest thing out of all of this is that the what is it, the like head of consumer services, they now have a direct liaison to like the consumer services, so how their marketing is completely different, and the head of marketing at Microsoft I believe is gone and is being replaced. Like it's that's like probably the best thing, because Xbox's marketing has been not great with how they handled marketing. It's gotten better with ZeniMax, and ZeniMax's marketing is very different, and again it's separate from Xbox's. Xbox markets ZeniMax stuff in their own stuff, but what you can tell the difference between something that's being handled by like marketing that's being handled by the ZeniMax publishing team and by the Xbox publishing team. So that's like one thing that I'm very happy about, is that like the marketing at Microsoft is generally pretty bad. And
I have to agree with you on the ZeniMax thing, because I remember earlier this year in January when they had the developer direct at the beginning of the year, and everybody was like, Elder Scrolls has no place at this show. And I'm like, this show is built by Elder Scrolls.
Yeah, like that's stupid every time that someone's like, why is Sea of Thieves here? Why is Elder Scrolls Online here? Why is Fallout 76 here? And I'm like, because they make a ton of money.
They're successful.
They make so much money. Of course they're gonna be at the events that all the guys are on.
The ZeniMax Developer Direct always took place like the last week of every January, every year. It was like clockwork, and I looked forward to it. And all of a sudden, it was like everybody, Xbox is doing a show in January, and I'm just like, dude, they're just backpacking on what ZeniMax does. Are you kidding me?
And you could tell that event was very that they pulled ZeniMax's advertising kind of prowess in, and it was inspired by that. So I'm very happy to see that the concept of how Xbox and Microsoft as a whole is going to be marketing is going to be substantially shifting. That's probably the best thing to hear. We've actually kind of already seen that. These are things that were in motion, right? So like these people getting these new positions, this was probably planned for about a month or so, 2 months, 3 months, and like everything, you'll see a lot of the things kind of shift naturally. But we saw a lot more marketing from Xbox, not even just the event we're going to talk about in a little bit, but we've seen like buses have like Starfield on them in Europe. They're going to start advertising at like American football games, like sports games, and European football games, and like that's like the kind of important stuff that Xbox hasn't done for like years.
Did you see the Vegas Dome?
Yeah, like the
Yeah, that was
Dude,
that
pretty
was
good.
theirs and
Yeah.
PlayStation's was done in partnership through Twitch. That's why like everyone was there at the same time, because TwitchCon was happening.
Do you guys
um,
remember a few years ago when Xbox used to sponsor Seattle Sounders in the
Yeah.
MLS?
yeah.
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff that, because their marketing budget has been slashed year after year.
Yeah.
They like the Xbox, but after the acquisition of Activision Blizzard, from what I've heard, their marketing budget has like quadrupled, because Microsoft is kind of all in on the purchase that they just made. They have to be.
They have to be.
They have to be. So you're seeing a large scale push. That's why they did a. That's why they did a whatchamacallit at this point in time. That's why they did this partner developer portal, whatever they called it.
Yeah.
I hate the naming. I hate Microsoft's
Preview.
naming conventions for everything,
Partner
not even just
preview.
Xbox. What was it called? The developer what?
No, Xbox Partner Preview.
Yeah.
That's it. Xbox Partner Preview. Nothing can be simple. Just call it show. Like, but that's like why it was planned now, because they're kicking off a brand new marketing beat. It's very exciting though, because really this is the first time since I've really been back in the console space, back when the Series X came out, that Microsoft's marketing from the summer never died down. They haven't stopped this year. Have you guys noticed that? Their marketing hasn't ceased.
I sure,
Like-
sure hope not.
Well, because it does every year. At least that I've been paying attention for the last while. They have a showcase, and then they go quiet after, like, Tokyo Game Show, and then they don't talk about anything until, like, the next April.
Well, now they have multiple
But
shows to look forward to,
now-
and multiple
BlizzCon coming up.
games.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
like, we had the show in June. Then they had a big showing at Gamescom. Then they actually showed up and stealth dropped the thing at
QuakeCon.
at QuakeCon. That's what I was thinking of. And then they were at Tokyo Game Show and they had a showcase. And now they had this showcase, and they have BlizzCon coming up. And BlizzCon has 2 hours of announcements to kick off the event. Like they're not stopping. And like I can almost guarantee they will be at the Game Awards this year. It's now obvious why they weren't there last year. If you go back and watch the developer direct, it should have been obvious why they weren't at the Game Awards last year, because they didn't have anything to show for the first 6 months, right? Something that I complained about lividly on the show, if everyone remembers.
Right.
This one will be different, I feel like.
But this year feels like it's gonna be different. Exactly.
Yeah.
They haven't slowed down, and I don't think they're gonna.
This is also going to make it to where less companies totally, because we've seen a lot of companies, game developers and publishers, favorite other platforms just because of like install base and market presence. But now that Microsoft has completely fundamentally increased their market presence, and at this point they're like a train that can't be stopped, these companies that used to basically disregard Xbox are now going to have to acknowledge, and they either hop on that train or miss it.
Yeah, like it is very exciting to see the company acting in the way that they kind of have always said that they wanted to get to this point. Does that make sense? Like,
Yep.
we're out of them making the commitments and promises, and now they're keeping the commitments and promises. I thought they were going to do that last year. I was a little miffed, and it came out on this show multiple times.
A little,
you know, just a little miffed,
little.
you know, just a little, on this show throughout the last year. But now you're seeing what I said when I was miffed, that I would praise them when it finally looked like that they were getting out of that, and it's great. And like that's what I would take out of the managing changes. It would literally be the marketing. Like they're not slowing down. They're not being quiet. They keep talking and announcing and showing, right? Because evidently there's a Paris Games something or other that they're gonna have stuff playable at. I think it was announced that Stalker 2 is going to be at it.
Yes, the Paris Game Week. Yeah.
Yeah, like there's news isn't slowing down, even if it's not like a huge like reveal showcase. We're still getting more and more bits of pieces of things that they told us that we'd be hearing more about. Like it's finally we're finally at a point where it's like we don't have to wait like 3 years to hear more. It's like we wait 3 months, 4 months now to hear a little bit more. Right? Like Towerborn was announced this year, but Towerborn was also at Gamescom and was shown with gameplay, and people could talk about the gameplay of playing it on the stage floor, and evidently that's going to happen again.
Mm-hmm.
And like those, like these are the kind of things that like they're changing their marketing, they're changing who's in charge of the marketing, and like I'm just so excited that like we're not in the 2022 era of Xbox anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Feels like we're getting into that era with PlayStation. I've been very vocal about how irritated I've been with that.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, that's all I got for
Game
this.
Plus?
What is New Game Plus? Can every company stop just not having New Game Plus at launch? Like, can we have New Game Plus in the game when it comes out?
Well, would be nice.
That's we'll talk more about that with Alan Wake.
All right, guys. Any other comments before we move on? Yes, no. All right. I think we're good. But yeah, just some interesting developments, and yeah, I mean, we'll probably learn some more stuff in the coming months. But yeah, it's good to see some personnel promotions and changes for sure. Guys tuning in, guys in the chat. Again, it's great to have you all here. Smash that like button. And yeah, share the show out. We would love for more people to be here. And if you're a new face, we'd love to keep you on. So sub to the channel. But yeah, guys, on that note, next up, Xbox dropped a bit of a surprise on us with the Xbox Partner Preview broadcast event. I know, a little wordy there, and showcasing third-party partner games such as Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth, Ark Survival Ascended, and a few more. Let's see. Now, Dots, was there anything from this preview that caught your attention all, like gameplay wise? I think there was like 1 or 2 demos in there. I know it was like a half hour kind of short event, and but there was I thought there was some interesting little tidbits there. But please give us your thoughts.
Yeah. So obviously one of the big headlines for a lot of people is Metal Gear Solid remaster or remake, I guess more accurately stated. That looks, I mean, it looks good. I haven't played much Metal Gear. I mean, I played Metal Gear 5, and I've also played Rising Revengeance, although that's not technically the same genre of Metal Gear game, but that's beside the point. It's still the same universe. So that definitely was a hit for me. I, as much as I don't play the Metal Gear games, I have enjoyed the story. I've enjoyed like the memes. That franchise is probably one of the most memed franchise in existence, but it's all in the positive light of it. It's very rarely, hey, it's bad, so we make memes about it. It's like, you know, people actually love those games. So that's a big hit for me. Alan Wake 2, that's a Crusader topic. I've never touched an Alan Wake game before in my life. So I'll let you guys talk about that. Ark, once again, I've never played Ark. But I mean, hey, dinosaurs. Nothing wrong with dinosaurs. Dinosaurs are always a win. The ones that hit me, Manor Lords, ironically. I like the hey, build your own town in like a medieval land kind of thing. I actually have that already wishlisted on Steam before this the showcase even happened, so I was like already looking forward to that. Um RoboCop game, that seemed interesting. I know a lot of these old franchises or old IPs getting, some more love is always been a win in my book. Um, Beyond that, I mean, I don't know. I watched the Still Wakes of the Deep, and I thought they were just showing gameplay from Destiny 2 when you're on Titan, the moon. Just because it's a giant oil rig over, a giant ocean. So I don't know. It gave me that kind of vibe. But no, so for me in particular, Manor Lords was a big win, and Metal Gear obviously is huge. So those are my takes on that. But I mean, overall, as short of like kind of out of the blue showcase as it was, I enjoyed it. It's it was I like these surprises. I think it's better than I think things like this are better than when they schedule, hey, this is this huge event coming out, and then they pipe it up and then it's not that great versus, hey, pleasant surprises all around. I will take that any day, all day.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I will say that like right before it went live, they're like, yeah, no big no first party, no exclusive stuff, no like big grand like Game Pass announcements, so on and so forth. They're like just kind of setting the expectations a little low. I am kind of surprised how low key it was, but because it did kind of remind me of a like one of those PlayStation shows, right? So I was like, well, I do kind of prefer it when there's like a little bit of like exclusive content thrown in there. But whatever. I mean, they showed off some stuff that they were excited about, so or have marketing for. So like, okay, all right, whatever. I was very surprised about Metal Gear though, like them being able to show off stuff because Metal Gear is pretty damn associated with PlayStation, so I just found that to be very curious. Grimes pal, I'll head over to you next. Did you catch any of the preview show at all, and do you have any thoughts on it?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I mean, there was definitely something for everyone, which I think that's what Xbox has been doing a lot of work to to include every age in the Xbox community. And I'm willing to give all those games a try, even if some of them don't appeal to me. But yeah, there was definitely something for everyone. I love a Yakuza series, especially the like a Dragon series. It's so ridiculous and over the top, and I don't think any other studio apart from Rockstar nails that uh, sense of humor. So I was so happy to see a bit more from them. Dunko Island is essentially Animal Crossing, and I can see myself spending hundreds of hours building my own island. So can't wait to play that game. And I'm also happy to see Xbox and Sega continuing that partnership. Um, I know Phil and the Xbox team have been working really hard to bring us more Japanese games. So great work. Um, Ikaro Will Not Die, which is I think is a game by the Power Wash studio. Looks fun. So I'm also gonna play it eventually. Don't really care about Ark. Sorry, Vin Diesel fans. I mean, dinosaurs are cool. Like Doc said, um, I would rather see a Turok game. A studio should remake a Turok game because that game was really fun. But again, to the benefit of the doubt, Arc 2 does look better than the first one, but we shall
That
see.
is the first one.
I mean,
It's a remake. It's a remake.
Their
Yeah.
remake, like Arc 2 is a different game. This is a
Yeah.
remake of the first game.
You're right, yeah, but
Yeah.
the original Arc was terrible. I mean, it was so many frame issues and whatnot. So we should see how this one entails. Like Dot said, Minor Lords looks great. I think it's being developed in Unreal Engine 5, uh, which is the best engine, open source engine out there at the moment. So I can't wait to see the destruction simulation looks awesome. And it looks like a mixture between Chivalry and Age of Empires. So I'm definitely gonna play it.
Trigger words getting me hyped up.
I'm just and like the violence too. I mean, like I don't wanna say too much, but it looks
Trigger words getting me hyped up.
yeah. But Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater. Uh, I've tried playing the original game. Never really. I love the Metal Gear Solid series. I love the first one. Love the second one. Metal Gear Solid 5 was also good, although the ending kind of sucked. But most of the Metal Gear Solid games have been good. The one that really didn't appeal to me was Snake Eater. For some reason I can't really describe why, but I've tried it, just didn't appeal to me.
That's a big
So
hot take there. That's like one of most fans like favorite one. But I mean, teach their own. Not
yeah,
negativity. And just that's a very interesting hot take.
okay. So I prefer the futuristic, like Metal Gear Solid 1. That's my favorite out of all of them because it's a
Right.
bit more futuristic. I I prefer more sci-fi
You
than
didn't like being in the Cold War.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's fine.
But it does look incredible. But so I will definitely play it. But we also don't know which Konami will show up. It could be the good Konami. It could be the Metal Gear Solid Survivor Konami. I mean, and it's also been developed in Unreal Engine 5, but they've botched some of their other games in Unreal Engine 5. So I just don't really trust them at the moment. Pro Evo, which is their football series, that switched from the Metal Gear Solid engine to Unreal Engine 5, and the players look like crap. So I don't really trust them to get it right, but I'm hopeful. So we'll see about that.
As long as it looks better than the remade cutscenes in the pachinko machines.
Oh,
That's the bar they have to pass over is
Yeah.
their own pachinko machines.
oh boy, yeah.
I feel like if they mess up this Metal Gear Solid, it's probably done for a long time. But hopefully,
100% agree.
I'm trying to stay positive, and you know, again, Solid Snake Eater looks amazing from the trailer, and I'm looking forward to playing it. And then RoboCop, Invader and I discussed this a few days ago, but that's one of the games I'm most looking
Oh
forward to.
yeah. Oh yes.
Forget Alan Wake. Sure, RoboCop won't be Game of the Year contender, and I'm willing to bet that reviewers won't give it higher than 7. But there's nothing like RoboCop nostalgia. I think I was like 7 when I first watched the OG film, and I loved it. And if any of you guys are familiar with Netflix's movies that made us, there's an episode of how and what inspired uh, to make RoboCop, it was such a cool episode. But and I think we're due for a RoboCop game anyway. If I remember correctly, I think the last RoboCop game was during the OG Xbox era. I could be wrong, but I think that was the last one.
I can't
Uh,
remember. I mean, you're talking to a guy who had like the old, was it the NES or
oh,
SNES?
I love that game. Yeah, that game.
Uh,
I could never finish it, but it was
yeah.
such a fun
There's
game.
RoboCop and RoboCop versus Terminator, or
Oh
yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
classics.
But
Any game that they would have done would have been around the same time as that horrible attempt to, I guess, rebrand RoboCop when they did that remake, like where it was done with today's stuff,
Oh
and
no, no, no,
it was just
no.
like a
I think it was
far
before
cry
that.
from what was established in the 80s.
Blasphemy, blasphemy.
I know, but we don't talk about the last RoboCop movie because that I think that was written by a teenager. But anyway, uh,
Right.
and also they brought the original voice, the
Yeah, they
original
brought the
actor.
original guy, the original
Yeah,
actor from RoboCop to do
and
his voice.
he's almost 100 years old, so it's good to see. I'm pumped for that game.
Agreed.
So
I got it
uh,
pre-ordered, so I'll
Dude,
definitely be playing.
Dude, RoboCop is so seated in pop culture history. Like, we all remember the show, that 70s show, where
Yeah.
Red grew up as it was like a family show, and Red was this, this dad that just sat around in the house saying, I'm going to put my foot up your ass. And I remember the day I showed my wife RoboCop when she watches the same actor who played Red play around with that shotgun and essentially blow this dude's brains out. And she's like, oh my God, that's him? I'm like, yeah, a total different actor. What do you think?
Yeah, he was a bad guy.
I'd buy that for $1. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I mean that I'm just excited for that game. That's all. And yeah, you guys should definitely check out that Netflix movies that made us if you want to know more
I've seen
about
the episode you're talking about.
yeah.
Yeah, no,
It's so cool.
I'm definitely looking for that game. Ooh, can't wait to dive into that one. Let's see, GeneralMLD pal. Did you get a chance to take a look at the partner preview at all?
I didn't see it live, but I definitely saw the aftermath of it all. The standout games for me was Yakuza for me. I played Like a Dragon on Game Pass last year. That was my first Yakuza. I absolutely loved it. It was turn-based. The writing was actually very, very top-notch. The story just hooked me in from the very beginning. The main character, I loved everything about this guy. And I'm looking forward to this game when it comes out next year. So there's that. I like seeing, you have this like island getaway that you could essentially just customize and make it your own. I feel like that's just a good distraction from whatever the rest of the game's going to be. Other standouts to me were Manor Lords. Yeah, I just got a thing for the medieval kind of games. Like, it reminded me of Kingdom Come, but I know it's a different type of genre. Alan Wake 2. I think I'll get to that sometime in November. And RoboCop. I think, I'll keep an eye for when this game comes out. I'll read the reviews and just go from there. I hope it turns out pretty good. And even that game on the old rig, I think it's on Game Pass. I might give that a try too when it comes out.
Still wakes the deep.
Thank you. Yeah, those smaller budget horror titles. Yeah, hey, if it's on Game Pass, I'll give it a try.
Mm-hmm.
So overall, it was pretty good because what Xbox does very well is that they learned how to set proper expectations, and they made that clear from the start. This is just third party stuff. Don't expect anything big, so you can't really fault them for not showing anything big or like that, or no big Game Pass announcements. They gave us exactly what they said they would, and that's good. I do think they need more of these shows, because one thing I will give PlayStation credit on is that they are great at associating third-party games to their brand. And end of the day, the bulk of game sales will always be from the third party. So Xbox needs to keep doing this because, they want to associate Metal Gear Solid to the Xbox brand however they can. They want to associate RoboCop or whatever, anything they showed, like Yakuza, like they're showing Sega's deepening partnership with them. They want games to be, side by side with Xbox in a consumer's mind. And I'm good on them for doing that, and I hope they do that in the future. So you can always pepper the year with shows like this. Save the big shows for first party announcements, and do preview programs like this for the third. And to me, I think that's a winning formula, because the core gamers, when we tune into the big showcases, we want to see first party. I mean, that's just, it is what it is. That's why we come to see. We want to see what the brand has to offer. And if they can give third-party developers their own spotlight with shows like this, hey, win-win. So, I had a good time watching it, and I hope they do it in the future.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta say, you are right there, MLD. Taking a page out of PlayStation's book. Yeah, I mean, a content association, especially with some of those like legacy brands, like a Metal Gear, for example. Like, that's, that did surprise me, and that is pretty good. I did like having RoboCop in there. Alan Wake as well, and a few others. Yeah, I mean, even some of the smaller titles too is kind of nice. I'll agree to you with that. Next up, Crusader. I mean, I would love to know some of your thoughts on this. Again, it was just a short little show, like 30 minutes, give or take, but yeah, a couple of interesting things. I don't know, did you get anything from it?
So I think when I rated the show, I gave it a B plus to an A minus because I do a range because it's I range in how I feel day to day about just about anything. I thought that it was extremely well paced. The variety was extremely good. I think it probably needed one more AAA listing, just to kind of balance it completely. I thought that they covered genres exceptionally well. I really liked how it had the QR codes that you could scan and go straight to a more in-depth article about things that had like the stuff that the talking heads would normally talk about. Like, for example, they talked about how that Ark Survival Ascended is going to have full mod support across all platforms. Xbox, PlayStation, and PC are all going to have mod support via CurseForge, which is a big like modding repository. So that was like really cool to see, and that they're going to have a full development kit similar to the creation kit for Ark Survival Ascended. And like you just scanned the QR code during the show and it would take you to that article. Thought that was a fantastic idea. I think that they needed one bigger surprise announcement that no one saw coming and was like a truly new announcement. Like that was like 85% covered by the Metal Gear announcement, right? Like that was wild. I don't think anyone saw the Metal Gear coming, but that was an already announced game. I think they for this type of show, and this was something that I really criticized the last PlayStation State of Play about, was like there that last State of Play could have just been blog posts and it would have been no different. This one was a little different than that because you're not going to do the first gameplay for your Metal Gear game in a blog post, right? Like that's not going to happen. But I think they needed like one more just kind of big new third-party announcement from someone. But like the Metal Gear was like as close to that as you could get in that, and like that's why like I gave it like that's why like it's at the top of the scale, like the A minus. Like the thing that you would improve to get the full A or A plus would be that like just like one more AAA game that was like something new, like just something like from EA or Ubisoft or someone to like Capcom has some new game coming out in the next they said at their fiscal report it's due out by March of next year. Like that game probably would have been like something along the lines that I'm talking about, right? But overall, very, very, very good show. Thought the Alan Wake gameplay, playing Alan Wake now, I thought the Alan Wake gameplay they showed was really weird to show. And like that was just like a strange, like the first trailer for Alan Wake they showed, like the story cinematic was really good, and I thought they could have left it at that, and it actually would have probably been a better showing for Alan Wake. But yeah, no, I really, really like the showcase. I have a full thread of responses that I gave the new director of this type of show at Xbox. I have a full thread up on Twitter of the stuff, and like almost completely positive. Like it was more like, hey, these are like little things that you could do, and hey, you should do these like way more often. This was great. Like combine, like alternate these and like developer directs, like because I loved the developer direct back in January. But like, yeah, this was a great showcase. The RoboCop game looks really cool. I've never actually seen RoboCop or engaged in RoboCop at all, but that game looks really cool. I kind of want to play it like real bad. When does it come out?
November 3rd.
Yeah,
Okay.
Somewhere.
You
Second.
have two release dates. You have one that will be October 31st for the deluxe version,
Okay.
or November 3rd for the standard base version.
Okay.
But you need to watch the movie as well. The first
Okay.
one.
Um, it's been on the long list of stuff. Like, there's a lot of movies that people would yell at me that I haven't seen. Like, I've never seen a Matrix movie either.
Well,
What?
Yeah.
That-
Like there's quite a lot of well, because I'm like, I could watch this new movie, or I can just watch Return of the King for like the 13th time this year.
damn. Well, dead or alive, you're watching RoboCop.
Right?
But yeah, it was good. The showcase was good. Was it sent? Were you the one who was saying that they set expectations well, or was that GeneralMLD?
That was me.
I haven't gone yet.
Yeah. Oh, you haven't gone yet. Okay. Yeah, GeneralMLD perfectly on the spot correct. They set expectations perfectly for this, and they didn't do the crap that PlayStation keeps doing in their showcases, where it's like, this is going to be a showcase that's focusing on third party, and then they throw in the random first party stuff. If there's going to be first party stuff in it, tell me that there's going to be first party stuff in it, right? Like, this was great. They was just, this is third party, and it was all third party.
Correct.
Like, don't like make me watch what I don't want to watch. Does that make sense? Like if you say you're gonna have a showcase focusing on like third party and VR or like VR stuff, I shouldn't have like Spider-Man showing up in it. That was the last state of play. Like I didn't watch that one because I thought there was gonna be nothing in it, and then like I watched it after the fact because I saw on Twitter Spider-Man was in it. I was like, what the? All right, whatever. But yeah, no, like they set expectations perfectly for this. It was exactly what we thought it was gonna be. Incredible.
All right. Very good, Crusader, and saving the best for last, I suppose. Okay, so Scent, I wanted a couple of your scents here. Yeah, what did you think of the show?
I'll be 100% honest. I didn't watch it. I went again when the show went down. I was I was indisposed, wasn't able to kind of be there at the show, and with everything going on this week,
right.
I haven't been able to. But the other reason why I haven't been rushing towards it is because of the games that I am interested at this show have been on my radar for a while now, and I've been watching a lot of behind the scenes stuff for it. And that was like, so I'm obviously interested in Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, but I still need to play Like a Dragon. It's in my backlog. I started playing it and then I fell off the cliff because other things, ADD's fun. I need to go back and play Like a Dragon before I get into Infinite Wealth. Alan Wake 2, I went back and I played Alan Wake Remastered. Did I like the game? Yes. Was I completely like, oh my God, it's Alan Wake? No. To me, Alan Wake 2 looks better than Alan Wake 1, at least from not playing the game yet and just from the outside looking in. But now I feel like with Alan Wake 2, we're going to be dealing with a Remedy, because so when Alan Wake 1 came out, Remedy, in my opinion, was just starting to really feel their way out in creating the universe that they were trying to create. Now with Alan Wake 2, they have a direction and they have fleshed out a very good direction for the universe that they're trying to create, that Alan Wake takes place in, Control takes place in, and some of their other games that they've done takes place in this universe. And that's where I really do feel that Alan Wake 2 is at least going to probably appeal to me better than Alan Wake 1, because it's going to have a lot more of a fleshed out concept that they're going for. And that's where, like with Metal Gear, to me at least, the big kind of like wow for me was the fact that Alan Wake 2, a game that is done by Remedy, that Remedy essentially is like, let's just say Sony owns a part of Remedy. Is Remedy one of their studios? No, but Sony has a big partnership with Remedy. And if I'm correct, Remedy first showed Alan Wake 2 at a PlayStation event, and now here we are on an Xbox event with Alan Wake 2 being shown there. So that was kind of like a wow moment for me. And then when I read about that Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater was there, I was like, wow. So even Konami at this point is acknowledging Microsoft's presence in the gaming industry. That's why I said, earlier that we're starting to see companies that that have that basically have no choice at this point to acknowledge the presence that Microsoft commands in the gaming industry, and they're taking advantage of that by, hey, you know what? Let's just start advertising on this platform because this platform looks like it is growing exponentially. They're capturing a lot of attention. They also have this product called Game Pass, which drives a lot of people to basically be in that ecosystem. So let's take advantage of the fact of let's hop on that train now before other people capitalize on that, and we're just trying to like compete to get in. So we're already seeing that Konami is gonna be one of those first companies that kind of get off that mountaintop and start acknowledging Microsoft's presence in the gaming industry. But for me, the game that I've been really keeping a lot of focus on and watching is RoboCop, but that's just because I'm a huge nostalgia fan for 80s entertainment, and that's where so don't get me wrong, I think it was Grimes that said it, that nobody's going to probably score this game over a 7. I'm not expecting this game to hit like 8s or 9s. I will definitely say that this game is probably going to come in somewhere around Terminator Resistance. And that's where Terminator Resistance did not hit with reviewers very well. But for people who were fans of the Terminator franchise and the lore and the world that was created around the 1980s Terminator, the early 1990s Terminator, Terminator Resistance actually did a good job of acknowledging those movies and using the lore established. And this was Invader, correct me if I'm right. This was like Terminator Resistance took place between Terminator 1 and 2, and it basically culminates where you basically are helping you start seeing some of the narrative from the first movie starting to take place. Or was it I know, like, as soon as you get towards the end of the game of Terminator Resistance, you're like, oh wow, I can't believe that they actually decided to really connect this game to the movies. And that's where RoboCop Rogue City comes in. So Rogue City is going to fill the gap between RoboCop 2 and RoboCop 3. At the end of RoboCop 2, we saw RoboCop take out Spike and the whole criminal organization that was distributing the drug called Nuke. And obviously, at the end of RoboCop 2, it didn't really go too far past Spike being killed off when they tried putting him in the
Spoilers.
other.
Spoilers.
Huh? Dude, if
Spoilers.
you haven't seen RoboCop 2 by now, but well, okay, sorry, Crusader, but let's just say, like, we won't get, like, once you find out the story between Spike and RoboCop and you actually see just how maniacal Spike was in wanting to fight RoboCop, that's where I'm curious on how we're going to see things kind of take place, because like that whole criminal organization was in a state of disruption at the end of the movie. But also there was the problem that if you really go with these movies, they're actually seated in a lot of today's problems. That's why I'm kind of like Crusader, with the way AI is getting today and stuff like that. And robotics, you really need to go check out the Matrix movies, because I feel like the Matrix movies have more of a presence in today's world than when they were first created. And that could also be said about RoboCop, because RoboCop, the whole reason why RoboCop was invented is because they couldn't find people that wanted to become police officers because it was becoming too dangerous. And essentially, at the end of RoboCop 2, the Detroit Police Department were still picketing, and so RoboCop had to fill a large void in the fact that a large amount of the police department had no presence because there was nobody there to police the city. And that's where I'm really curious on if the person who is doing Rogue City is going to do a good job of connecting it to the movies. And that's what really has me really intrigued for this whole game. At least that's what I got from what I've read, and that's why I said, like, all the other games I've watched, like Still Wakes the Deep. I would have to say that was one that I might check out when it comes out. I've heard a lot of people talk about Manor Lords, but I'm not really into the whole build it up and fight a war thing. I don't know. But don't get me wrong, it's good to see that Microsoft is starting to, like, Crusader said, really they haven't stopped advertising, and now they're bringing in other companies to join that whole enterprising advertising bandwagon. And dude, I'm just kind of curious what's going to be happening with the Game Awards. What are we going to see in the beginning of the year when we get the ZeniMax Direct? And all the way up to what are we going to see when it comes to E3? Like, we could see a completely different Xbox brand by the time their stage presence for June rolls around, and we could see a lot of partnerships kind of crafted out between now and then.
All right. Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. A lot of good stuff there. And yeah, like basically Rogue City, RoboCop was my jam for it. That's what I took away. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's some good trailers like that. Still Wakes the Deep from the Amnesia dev, the Chinese room. It looks pretty solid. I'm interested in that because I like my creepy games a lot. That being said, yeah, RoboCop looks cool. And yeah, I mean, if it's anything like Terminator Resistance, I'm I'm
shameless plug. Invader did a review on Terminator Resistance, and both Invader and I really loved playing Terminator Resistance.
Mm-hmm.
Was it like this huge blockbuster experience? No, but the narrative was there, and it was a really good game. Yeah, could there have been more? I think the really only thing that Terminator Resistance lacked was it needed just a little bit more enemies and stuff like that, because there was some times where the action of the game would come to a lull.
That being said, I mean, yeah, actually, coincidentally, I guess there's an Xbox Series X version out now.
Yeah, it just came out, and that's one of the things that I was kind of shocked. But yeah, so the next gen version of Terminator Resistance has been a PlayStation exclusive, I believe, for about a year.
Nah, I think it was much longer than that. I think it was.
It's been a while. It's been a while.
Pretty sure that came out the first year of the consoles.
It's annoying.
Because what really
first full year, so like 2021.
Okay.
Yeah, I would have to. What really shocked me was the fact that it came with a next gen upgrade, and it also had DLC.
Yeah.
And that's why I was just like, and you're gonna make that exclusive? What the hell? And yeah, it completely was mind-boggling to me. But yeah, I guess they just launched what was exclusive to PlayStation, I think, like a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago.
Something like that, but it's just something that, I am interested in, but I'm gonna have to put on the back burner because of everything.
Oh, dude,
else.
I'll probably wait for that to go on sale, but that would be one of the games where I'll just be like, where you'll double dip, where you're just like, you know what, I will buy the next gen version of that game just because I want to see what they did for the DLC and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, totally. But guys, any more comments on the preview show? Yes, no? All right, guys, solid conversation there. I'm gonna start moving on to the last topic. But guys in the chat, you've been fantastic. Loving everything going on. If you haven't done so already, please smash the like button and share the show out, as I would love to have some more people here joining us live. All right, lastly, gentlemen, let's talk about some Alan Wake 2. The day is finally here that we get to play the sequel. It's been getting a lot of praise from reviews. I'm curious what everybody here thinks of the game. I know a few people at least have been playing it, like, I don't know, Crusader. Oh, Crusader. I know you've been knee-deep in it, but yeah, please tell everybody, what are your early impressions of Alan Wake 2? Is it a worthy successor to the first game?
Yes, it is. It is very, very good. Is it a worthy successor to the first game? Story-wise, yes. Gameplay-wise, it's almost a completely different game.
Really?
I mean, like, the mechanics are there, like, you shine the flashlight at the enemies, then you shoot them, but, I mean, this is far more of a survival horror, like, very limited, ammo, very, like, you need to, like, use health packs and stuff. It's, gameplay-wise, it's probably closer to somewhere between Resident Evil and Dead Space.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought you couldn't do these kinds of games.
What?
I mean, maybe I got it wrong, but I thought you said you couldn't really do horror games.
I don't do very, very weird, fleshy horror games.
Okay.
It's not horror. In fact, I don't. It's visceral things.
It's,
like very gross things.
So
I
not
can't
Dead
do.
Space.
Okay.
No, Dead Space
No,
is
no, no,
even
no.
pretty all right. It's the whole thing I couldn't do with Scorn was the whole thing
Scorn.
with like the arm and like it
So,
like the
yeah,
way that like.
I was gonna
Ugh.
say, Crusader, it's like the difference between watching a Rob Zombie film and a Stephen King film. Rob Zombie is
well,
gonna
it's
be a
more
lot
like
more
the
blood
difference
and gore.
between watching Saw and watching another horror film.
Well,
I can't watch Saw. Saw is too disgusting for me.
Well, that's what I was like with Stephen King. That's why, like, Alan Wake was more of like Stephen King for me because Stephen King is more psychological than it is gory.
And I did have a really hard time with Dead Space 2. I actually had to have someone play the sequence with the eye part in Dead Space 2 for me. I couldn't get past that. I actually have a deathly fear of needles in real life. I couldn't get past the eye thing. But nothing in this is that kind of horror. Does that make sense? Like, it's not...
Okay.
And, like, in Dead Space, the things are so far removed from even really being human. Like, the only time that it bothered me is when it was actually happening to me, which is why Scorn bothers me, because there's, like, the augmentation stuff that you kind of see in like first person and like how like stuff comes out of your arm and stuff like
Yeah, it's a very unsettling game. I understand.
That's what I can't do. But like in Alan Wake, there hasn't been anything like that. It's just like you blow the enemies away, and sometimes like the like bits of like their chest will peel off, but like it's so like not common or like not constantly on the screen, right? That it doesn't bother me. But yeah, it's somewhere in between Resident Evil and Dead Space. Story-wise, one thing I have to disagree with anyone who says you can play Alan Wake 2 without playing the first one. I barely say you can play this without playing Control. Like it's a direct sequel to Alan Wake, the first Alan Wake, like indisputably, and like you could probably get away without playing it, but there'd be so much of like there'd be so much more confusion you'd have playing this game. Because like you're already confused, right? That's the nature of Remedy's games. They're very like SCP. You're constantly left asking questions, but there are questions that you'd be asking that you'd have the answers to if you had played Alan Wake. And same thing with like Control. There are questions that you'd have like, what the heck is all of this nonsense? That like if you played Control, you'd have a significantly better grasp of things, and you'd be directing your questions of like what is happening to better places. Like absolutely, if you're looking to play Alan Wake Remastered. And its DLCs. The DLCs are included with the remaster. If you can play Alan Wake All-American Nightmare, I'd recommend playing it. You can only play it on Xbox, I believe, at this point. I believe it was an Xbox Live Arcade game. It's not totally necessary, but the game does make more sense if you play that. And definitely play Control and play the DLCs for Control, because there's an Alan Wake themed DLC for Control.
Crusader, let me ask you something. So
Sure.
does it take place after after the DLC or after the original game?
So it takes place 13 years after the original game.
Okay, but I'm saying, is it like after the DLC? I forget, like what the American Nightmares the last
Oh,
DLC?
I believe American Nightmare takes place after the DLC. I'm not totally sure.
Okay.
That doesn't totally matter. As long as you play both of them, you'll be fine.
All right.
But like I would totally recommend playing all of that before playing this. That's like one thing where, and like I get it, they got to sell the game, right? Like they can't be like, "Oh yeah, you need to buy all of this other stuff to play this game." But like this is one of those times where it feels pretty genuinely wrong to say that you can play this without playing the other ones.
Control is what made me want to play Alan Wake.
Yeah, like
Because like the Department of Control is basically let's face it, they're basically like FBI agents, except for they're called the Department of Control, and they investigate aliens and
paranormal.
paranormal stuff.
Yeah.
And when you're in Control, you actually come across Alan Wake's typewriter because they got their hands on it and they were housing it, and you would read documentation about how they went and investigated the town, and they basically called it the Alan Wake incident.
Well, so it was an AWE, an altered world event.
Yeah, but that's why
'cause-
I still need to play the DLC for like the Alan Wake stuff in Control.
Okay.
But it was just their references when you would read the articles, because that's one
Yeah.
thing about Remedy games is it's just don't watch the cutscenes. You read the pieces of paper.
Yeah.
You immerse yourself into the universe that they created.
Yeah, this is you really like the game does a pretty good job of of helping you remember what's been happening, because like you're like the game is told from two perspectives. It's told from an FBI agent's perspective that's investigating a series of murders, and then it's also told from Alan Wake's perspective, and you can switch between whichever like of the basically two campaigns of the main campaign that you're playing at any point that you want once you unlock the ability to have both. And it is very like I can't like you have to be in it for the weirdness. Like you have to be in it for like what Remedy's games are. I think its gameplay is weaker than the first one. In fact, I'm playing it on story mode because I don't even really care about the gameplay of the game. I am in Remedy's games, like even Quantum Break, all of them. I am in them exclusively for the weird SCP crazy stories that they come up with like shattering time and different dimensions and evil entities and things like that. I love that kind of stuff to death. I do have, and I alluded to this earlier, I have one major complaint, and this isn't a complaint that's just directed at Remedy here, but they announced like right before the game is coming out that it's New Game Plus is coming later, and its photo mode is coming later. The New Game Plus is going to have additional like story elements to it added for free. I can't stand the trend of games launching without features. I tried to justify it with Halo Infinite during COVID when they said it was going to be a one season wait, and I was like, it's COVID, it's going to be 3 months, it'll be fine. And then 343 kind of broke me of ever defending that at any company ever again. So like I hate that they're doing that with this, and I've called it out for Alan Wake. I called it out with Spider-Man for the mission replays and it not having a New Game Plus. I called it out with Forza Motorsport for not having the spectator mode at launch. Starfield for not having its FOV slider. Horizon Forbidden West and God of War for not having New Game Plus. It's a trend of New Game Plus not being in games that they kind of try and get you to come back and play the game in like 3 months by releasing the New Game Plus later. And I hate it because this game has missable collectibles. And like, if you missed a collectible, you have to, if you want to get them at this point, you have to start a new save.
All right, here's my question. Are there thermoses you have to find?
So, no, not in this one. There are not thermoses in this one. There are nursery rhyme puzzles.
Oh.
And there are Sam Casey lunchboxes, cultist crates, and another type of collectible that's actually it's used to solve the nursery rhyme collectible. So like they're kind of together. And then there's another type of collectible. I don't want to spoil it, but it's tied to the Alan Wake stuff. But it's
Okay.
not it's not
Mm-hmm.
they didn't do the thermoses again in this one.
Okay. All right.
But yeah, I'm absolutely loving it. I am playing it on the story difficulty. I think the normal difficulty, the enemies are... I find this to be a problem in a lot of survival horror games, that the enemies are far too spongy, because they want you to have to fear using your ammo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think this game is much better to be played on its story difficulty and play it more like a puzzle game, because there's a lot of puzzles in the freaking game with like how to unlock doors and things like that.
Really?
Play it more like a puzzle game. And because if you play it like that and you play it on the story mode, the flashlight can be used to stun the enemies, and then enemies will die to a single headshot bullet. And that seems fun to me. If you like the more spongy Resident Evil style survival horror, then the story difficult, or then the normal or even harder difficulty might be for you. It was definitely not for me. Definitely gameplay wise, like this game will probably be my least favorite Remedy game. But that's not saying a lot, because I fucking love the Remedy game. So like,
Mm-hmm.
least favorite is like saying that like I'm getting my least favorite pizza for dinner.
Right.
Oh well, I'm getting pizza for dinner. That's a shame.
Mm-hmm. See, I'm
Right?
kind
Like,
uh-huh.
it's good.
Like, I'm kind of in a state where, again, I loved Alan Wake, the original, to death. I have the limited edition. I had all the DLC. I got all the achievements, and I was really looking forward to, a possible sequel down the line. But I guess I was just in a state of, well, it's been 13 years, and I don't know, I guess I can wait a little more, I guess. I don't know really what to say at that point. Just kind of in a state of wait. I guess just because there's other games that I want to focus on right now, I feel like I can wait, like, I don't know, maybe a couple of months down the line, but I'm still, like, I do really want to play it. Like, I love Alan Wake to death. I do have to ask, though, because, again, you play as somebody else that's not Alan Wake in the game, because you alluded to the FBI agent. Like,
Is it a Halo 5 situation? Is it a Locke versus Chief situation?
Like versus? No.
No,
it's
I mean,
probably like,
player.
No, the
Quantum
amount,
Like
is it
plain
equal?
Oh yeah,
so
it's
far?
about 50-50.
Okay.
It's like it's half and half. I don't think it really is super impactful, because a large portion of it is like, even when you're playing as her, you're getting some narration from Alan Wake and that's about all I can say without spoilers.
it's probably like Quantum Break, isn't it? Where you played
No,
with both characters, probably about the same amount of time.
no, well, maybe
What's the ratio?
it's probably 50-50.
Okay.
And like, I like the character, the female character you play as, Saga Anderson is her name. I like her character a lot. Like, this game feels like Alan Wake is in the title because Alan Wake is the subject of the game, not necessarily the absolute main character of the game. I mean, he's the main character when you're playing as him, but like, the entire game is like, he's the focal point subject of the entire game. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so he's the focal point even if you're not directly playing as him.
Right, and it's done way better than, because like,
Okay.
that was
alright.
supposed to be how Halo 5 was, but they just did the lock sequences so poorly. Does
Yeah, that
make
was my
sense?
concern,
Like,
that it would be a Locke situation where people are
it-
like, okay, give me more
Crusader,
proof.
I think
Crusader,
some people probably will be like that with this game.
Crusader, you're just upset about the cutscene at the end of the first mission in Halo 5.
I am upset at the
Which
cutscene at the end of
took
the first
everything
mission in
from
Halo 5.
Halo 4's Spartan Ops and threw it away.
I know
Yeah,
what you're talking about.
yeah.
I'm there too.
I think some people probably will be upset that like it's done like this. I think it's great. I think it's done really well. Like I said, my biggest gripe about the game is more the actual like gameplay loop, if anything. I'm not the biggest fan of this style. Like, I like Dead Space's survival horror because, like, I'm constantly almost constantly in action in Dead Space. You know what I mean? Like, you're scrambling for how much ammo you have in Dead Space, not because like you're not finding a lot, but because you constantly have to use the massive amount of ammo that you find in Dead Space. And like it only takes like a couple bullets to kill things in Dead Space because you dismember them, right?
Right.
Like this is the
problem.
more there's less enemies and they're tankier, and not the biggest fan of that.
Okay.
All right. So either way, you'd recommend as of right now.
100% recommend it. Yeah, and it also came out at I believe it's 60 on console and 50 on PC on the Epic Game Store.
Yeah.
So like it's coming out at a lower MSRP. Now it didn't have I know some people are upset it didn't have a physical copy. That doesn't totally bother me, but like I know that if you are a physical collector, this game did not have a physical edition.
I mean, I like having the option. Like that's what it is. And I think they could have done something with like a really cool collector's edition, but
yeah.
I mean, what ifs? You know, that's just all it is. They decide to go down that route. That's what it is.
Also, if you're a Control player, I think that this is also necessary for you to play. Just if you like Control, you probably should also be playing this because I think it'll be relevant to the next game.
Interesting. All right. Yeah, I mean, I liked Control, so all right, I should take a look at that. Just out of curiosity, anybody else on the panel get a chance to play Alan Wake 2 yet? No. I mean, I know there's a couple of people who want to, including myself.
I did my homework. I beat Alan Wake 1, American Nightmare, and Control, so I feel like I should know the story.
Did you play the DLCs for Control?
I did not.
Okay, the one DLC for Control is literally Alan Wake.
Okay.
Yeah,
then.
yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is.
The one DLC is literally just all about Alan Wake from the perspective of the FBC, from the Bureau of Control.
Okay, I'll look into that then.
Yeah.
Good to know.
All right, guys. All right. I just taking a look at the time. Probably a good idea to start closing things off. I had wanted to get to some Halo stuff, but because again, the new season looked pretty cool. But I mean, I haven't had a chance to play. I know Crusader, you played a lot of the new Halo.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dots and I have been playing a ton. It good.
We so back.
We so back. Maybe we'll talk about it when the Halo 3 playlist comes out. That should be, I think, this week. Maybe
Wow,
if it's not this week, it's next week.
Get some of that dew.
A Firefight will probably be January, if I had to guess. It'll probably be or mid-December.
Probably mid-season, but people are doing all kinds of things with the AI right now.
You can
They're
play
remaking Halo 3 campaign missions.
Yeah.
and you can technically play Firefight in custom games.
That's
Yeah.
correct.
That's true.
Already.
That's true.
We have played some. It's all right. It's pretty good.
It's rough at times. I got jump scared by like banished phantoms spawning out of the ground and just splattering me out of non-existence.
People have to figure out the scripting. Like it's a matter of like by the time Firefight comes out proper, like 1.5 billion prefabbed scripts will exist in the community to do a lot of really cool stuff. So
if I had if I recorded our games and I had editing software, Crusader could atone to the fact that I could make like a screen compilation of me like being absolutely terrified of all these different things happening to me. But it's the best Halo I've enjoyed. I love just those moments of shock and just all the fun shenanigans we get into while playing Halo.
It's almost the best Halo multiplayer experience I've ever had. Almost. It really needs one or two like power weapons from older Halo games. Like there's a list of like 15 that I could lay out, and like you add any two of them and the game is instantly probably the best.
The OG Halo shotgun.
Yeah.
Where is it?
The saw.
Where is it?
Fuel rod gun. Like there's a few guns that like are still kind of like the sandbox feels like it's lacking them.
Yeah, Halo 5 did that pretty well.
Yes, Halo 5 did do that really well. And there are some like there's a weapon that is probably coming next season that we've seen that like some people have kind of like brute forced into the game.
I know
that's
what
like
you're
a
talking about.
it's like a handheld like shotgun, but the melee is like a mini gravity hammer
Yeah.
that's really cool. So like it's not like they aren't working on some cool new stuff too. I just think that like they should be like, hey,
Sounds like
you
the
don't.
Mauler from 3.
Yeah, it's like the
But with a
Mauler with a mini gravity hammer on it.
uh-huh.
And I think it's like a double barrel shotgun. I think you get 2 shots. But like they don't need to rethink they don't need to rethink everything completely. Like they just need a couple classic Halo weapons that would slot into power weapon slots kind of perfectly and just kind of complete the sandbox feel. Halo Reach had the same problem in my opinion, where there was like there was like a couple power weapons at like the higher end that just felt like they were missing, like the beam rifle.
Yeah, well, they wanted to shrink the weapons list, but put weapons in a particular.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I kind of vibe with that, but I'm also like he who beam rifle go burr, right? Like there comes a point where it's like, yeah, these things kind of overlap in the sandbox, but I don't really care. I just kind of want them because they each have a different feel and a different play style,
That's
even if
true.
they do fill the
subtle,
same
but
niche.
it's there.
Yeah, because like for example, the beam rifle and the sniper rifle largely fill the exact same niche, right? Like in classic, like Halo 3, beam rifle, sniper rifle fill the same niche, but they have a ever so slightly different play style that goes with them, because you could fire the beam rifle faster, but it would overheat, versus the you could sustain fire with the regular UNSC sniper rifle for longer, but you couldn't fire the shots as fast. And like they fill the same niche, but they have a different playstyle. That's one of the things I think that they really need to look at with Halo Infinite if they truly want to push it forward. Is bring some of these weapons back that do feel the same, that do feel this kind of same niche. And even if they do that, it just makes the sandbox feel better for people who like a different playstyle. And I think they did that with the Bandit Evo, which came out this season, which is basically the DMR.
Yeah,
right.
It is.
It is the DMR. I don't know why they didn't even just call it the Bandit DMR. But like it fills the same basic slot that the battle rifle fills. Maybe it's a little bit longer ranged, but it fills that same basic slot, and they feel great side by side, because like some people prefer the playstyle of the battle rifle with its 3-round burst. Some people prefer that single shot DMR. Like that's like my main criticism of Infinite right now is just like it's the weapon sandbox that needs improved. Maybe vehicle health needs adjusted too, because like tanks and wraiths are a little healthy.
Well, hey, maybe. But okay, guys, any other comments before we start closing things off? Yes, no? All right. Okay. All right, gentlemen, I believe we are done here for tonight. And honestly, fun chat, fun talk about Xbox, and just overall general game chat tonight surrounding Xbox management shuffling. There's a surprise partner preview and Alan Wake 2. Thank you to every single one of you that tuned in for tonight. If you enjoyed tonight's offerings, then please consider dropping a like, sharing the episode out, and of course, subbing to the channel if you are new. Next, over to the outros, and I'll start off with our newest additions. Dots, hey, good stuff tonight. Where can everybody follow you at?
Yeah, no, always, like I said before, always happy to be here. Always love my Sunday nights. You can find me at Dots RTS on Twitter, or the other letter of the alphabet no one likes to talk about. And yeah, no, happy to be here. Happy to know that I will no longer be getting surprise messages being like, "Hey, we had an RTS topic. You want to come on the show tonight?" And like, "Hey, now I get to, Dots TXR, right?"
What, you think you're the RTS guy, the only one that we can call on? Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I mean, who are you gonna call on, Crusader?
Right.
He knows
right.
Empire at War.
I messaged Petroglyph Weekly to ask them to make a new one.
Oh man.
Add me to those messages.
Ungovernable.
Yeah. Well, I look forward to the future RTS chats. Moving on to our other new addition, Grimes. Buddy, hey, good stuff tonight as well. I really loved your
Conspiracy theory.
yes, big brain conspiracy theory. Love it. Absolutely love it, my
Yeah.
friend. Where can everybody find you at?
You can find me on Fake Mayhem OG on Twitter or Lobo Grimes on IG where I'm most active. But I love the discussions today. Great topics, and thanks for having me.
Of course, of course. We're going to see a lot more of you from now on. Let's see. Moving on down the list, GeneralMLD. Hey, good stuff tonight from you as well. Where can everybody find you?
Yeah, you guys can find me at MLD Ghost on Twitter, Gamertag Ghost MLD. So it was a great chat, and I think next week is BlizzCon. I'm sure we'll talk about that. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, I would imagine so, considering I think there's some expectations that we could see a new game announced. I mean, that's what the little birdies are saying, but we'll see.
You guys have phones, right?
Well, hopefully
Yes,
it's
we
not
do.
that kind of an announcement.
I know, right? Yeah.
Oh, that would be depressing. All right, next up, Centurion. Hey, you had a really awesome chat tonight as well. Loved the energy as per usual. Where can everybody find you?
For those interested, you can find me at Centurion1307, YouTube, Xbox Live, and Twitter. And you can also find me right here every Sunday night on the TXR Podcast.
Love it.
That's it. Yeah, like this is the only podcast I'm currently doing right now.
All right, hey, that's great, man. That's fantastic. Who else do we got? Oh yeah, of course, Crusader. Hey, love the Alan Wake talk, and well, basically all the other talks, obviously. But hey, good stuff. Where can everybody find you?
You can find me at X or Twitter, whatever Elon wants to call it, which is actually a reference to Phil Spencer, because Phil Spencer said that live on the Xbox podcast. He was like, yeah, I've seen our fans be like, yeah, X or Twitter or whatever Elon wants to call it today. Kind of laugh. But yeah, you can find me there at Crusader3456. Same on Xbox, PlayStation. Feel free to hit me up. Always willing down to talk games. Yeah, and everyone should go get Alice Madness Returns for $2 on Xbox right now.
Ooh.
Do that
Already
instead of
did it.
following me.
I already did that.
do that instead of following me.
I didn't have a choice in the matter.
He did. I bought it for him. He didn't have a choice. It's
It's such a
$3
good
on
game.
Steam too if you're a PC gamer.
Remember, guys, he is ungovernable.
I am
Remember that.
uncomfortable. I actually went as the Mad Hatter after doing all of this for Halloween.
All
Do
right,
you
there
think
you go.
we're ever gonna? Do you think we're ever gonna get a sequel?
No. EA rejected American McGee's pitches
Yeah, I
for it.
remember that. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
like,
it actually looked really good.
And he dropped out of like game development. I don't think we're. I mean, maybe. I mean, I bought 12 copies in the last couple of days, so like,
Oh, wow.
you know,
Wow.
maybe we will. But like, yeah, no. But people should go buy that game for $2 on Xbox.
Definitely.
Like, incredible Xbox 360 game.
You said
$2.
EA, right? It's
Yeah,
EA?
it is on Game Pass, but it's also $2 to keep it forever. And that's where I was kind of like, yeah, no, I'll just buy it for $2 and keep it forever.
All right.
I've got 2 copies of it, so there's that.
Like, because EA Play may not be part of Game Pass forever, right? Like, that is a contractual agreement between 2 different companies. It's not quite the same as like Microsoft publishing a game. You know what I mean? Like, it's in Game Pass right now, and for the foreseeable future it will be. But like, $2? Yeah, I had to own it forever.
There you go. Good man. Good man. And yeah, just to close out the group, you guys can find my content on YouTube at Invader Gaming. I'm working on a few guides right now for a game called Forgive Me, Father. It's like a Cthulhu boomer shooter game, and hey, so far I've been enjoying it, but that should be out soon. Again, great show, and we're looking forward to the next one. Hopefully we get some Blizzard news next week. Later, guys. It's been a good one.